Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fatima Podcast with your host Fatima. Guess what today is? It's a special day because it's the final episode of season 1 of the Fatima Podcast. And I'm so excited. I'm actually kind of emotional, not really more excited than anything, but I just want to start off by saying congratulations to me. Congratulations to the woman that I'm becoming, the platform that I'm cultivating, and congratulations to everyone that has tuned in and has actually followed some of the things or all of the things or one thing that I have, deposited into you guys so that you could pursue your God-given purpose, which is the ultimate goal of this platform. The Mount Fatima podcast was essentially created as a safe haven for people from all walks of life to share God-defining moments from their personal lives, from their career, and even from culture that has shaped and molded them into who they are now. And our ultimate vision is to inspire, encourage, and propel every single person that listens into their God-given purpose. And we do this through storytelling, through authentic conversations, and through creative endeavors. And as I am unfolding a lot of that vision to all of you guys, I pray that you are truly encouraged, that you are truly inspired, and that at the end of the day, you are catapulted into what God has destined for you. So congratulations to all of us. We have made it through season 1, which is so crazy because when I first started, I was not ready to do it. I had every single excuse in the book to push it back, to not do it. And now I have found a new sense of purpose, which is to help people in their purpose. I'm so thankful for every single one of you that has shared the impact that this platform has given you already. And I cannot wait to hear more stories and more testimonies about what this platform has provided for all of you. So thank you for sticking with me through season 1. Let's celebrate. I'll celebrate with drinking water. And a lot of ice. Any ASMR people out there? I love ASMR, so yeah, that's besides the point. The point is that I'm just really happy to have said that I've done 1 season of a podcast, and it's truly remarkable what God can do when you obey His instruction. It's beautiful to witness everything unfolding, and like I've mentioned, I'm excited for what's next, not just for me, but also for all of you. So let's get ready for the last episode, and I'll see you at the end. Season 1 has been a beautiful journey with God and with all of you. And I wanted to end the season by talking about something that's very important when it comes to walking with purpose and going on the journey of being a creative disruptor and a person that takes risks and a person that does not settle for anything less other than God's best. And today I want to talk about thinking beyond yourself. I want to talk about legacy, and I want to talk about the long game. I have learned to think the long game because of my spiritual father. Now, I had previously considered a lot of the things that he has taught me, but over the last 3 years that I've known my spiritual father, he has definitely shown me the importance of thinking beyond myself and thinking of others, and not just in my own lineage, but also others in the world. When it comes to being a creative, that can be a challenge because when you want to pour your creativity to the world, you're very emotionally attached to it. I can admit that myself. I create every single day. I am a content creator, and I've learned how to do it over the last, I don't even know how many years, since 2017, I believe. That's when I started my creative journey with content. And I've learned to really like just crank out content like crazy. Like, give me a video, give me an idea, I'll film it, I'll edit it, I'll give you a concept. Let's go. We'll do it. But with that came this tension between who I was as a content creator or as a creative in general and the work that I produced. And that caused tension as far as me being very emotionally attached to my work because it's my blood, it's my sweat, it's my labor, it's my heart put into it. So I've had to learn how to separate my identity from my work and what I produce. And I'm talking about this specifically when it comes to legacy, because when it comes to legacy, you cannot think of just the now. When you think of legacy, you have to think for the future. So when it comes to creating things, when it comes to your vision and the entrepreneurial things that you want to accomplish, you have to think beyond the now. You have to think beyond the necessities and the circumstances that you're in right now. And with being emotionally attached to our work, it can be very, very, very easy for us to settle and to sacrifice things that we wouldn't sacrifice if we were thinking long term. I want to touch on the story of Jacob and Esau, the twins. I want to touch on that story because when I read it, it shook me and it convicted me because it showed me that our emotions can deceive us into compromising the now for the future. Your emotions have to be so intact in the season when you're building that no matter what comes your way, you're not willing to compromise and you are not willing to sacrifice the long-term vision that God has given you. Let me read the story of Esau and Jacob. Now, they're twins, right? They're born from Isaac and Rebecca, like, she knows she's having twins. So whenever they're born, Esau is born first, but Jacob, as he's being born, Jacob grabs the heel of Esau. So there was something that he knew that Esau had that he wanted, and he was willing to do whatever it took to get it. And I think a lot of times we need to think that way, but instead of thinking that way, we are thinking like Esau, which is what I'm about to read. So Genesis 25, verse 24. So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over, so they called his name Esau, which literally means hairy. Afterward, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, so his name was called Jacob, and his name means supplanter. Isaac was 60 years old when he bore them. So the boys grew. And Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. There's so much to unpack there, but we won't get to that today. We'll just talk about this next part. Verse 29. Now Jacob cooked stew, and Esau came in from a field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary. Therefore his name was called Edom, which means red. But Jacob said, sell me your birthright as of this day. And Esau said, look, I am about to die. So what is this birthright to me? Then Jacob said, swear to me as of this day. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Now, can you imagine being in that position where you're so hungry, you're so tired of whatever your routine is, you're so hungry where you don't care about anything else other than being fed, other than being fulfilled. And somebody asks you a question and they're like, well, I'm going to give you food if you give me the vision that God has given you. And you're like, and you treat it as if you don't care about it, and you trade it for a temporary relief of pain, a temporary relief of discomfort. And then your vision is jaded. Your vision is stolen from you. Can you imagine that? I believe a lot of people have been in that place where they've traded their promise. They've traded the vision that God has given them for temporary pleasure, for temporary fulfillment. I don't want anybody that's listening to this, including myself, to compromise the now for the future. That's such a dangerous thing, but a lot of people have lost so much time by fulfilling their need right now with something that's going to leave them empty in the long run. And it's so important that we don't sacrifice long-term gains for short-term wins. And that happens so often with us. I know that I've been in certain positions where I could have chosen better. I could have decided better. I could have spoken better. I could have emotionally controlled myself better. I could have managed relationships better, but I didn't. And I now am in a place where I can be more self-intelligent, be more emotionally intelligent, and make better decisions when I feel weary, when I feel tired, when I feel unfulfilled, when I feel hungry for something that's gonna be there eventually, but I have to persevere through. Are you willing to persevere through every emotional discomfort and every hunger that you have in order to see the fulfillment of the promise God has for you? The story of Jacob and Esau is very, it's a warning to a lot of people. But we can also find encouragement in that. Seeing the side of Jacob, he was willing to do whatever it took to get even somebody else's promise. He wasn't just looking to get something that was for the now. He was looking for something that was legacy, the promise of the firstborn, to get an entire inheritance from his father, to get his father's blessing. That was a huge thing back in the day. I mean, it still is, but back then, the firstborn got everything. So for him to know the importance of that legacy, and he was willing to do whatever it took to get it, we can learn something from Jacob as well. Another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to thinking beyond yourself is to think about making decisions that complement the future you want. We all have choices to make every single day. And the addition of every decision ultimately amalgamates to your purpose. And right now, I am in a place where I have developed this zeal and this conviction to be more disciplined in my life. And the reason that I want to be more disciplined in my life is because I know that every decision counts. So if I don't make it count, it's not going to impact me in a positive way. It's going to definitely not add to the legacy and the vision that God has given me to fulfill. And it's so important to think about those decisions daily, consciously, because we can get in a habit of just making decisions out of the routine that we have or out of the thinking patterns that we have ingrained in our minds. and not truly make decisions out of the long-term vision, the long game, which is ultimately the end that we want to hit, the target that we want to hit. I want to read another passage from the Bible, and I want to read the passage that's in Hebrews 12, which is the chapter of faith. When you think about legacy, it's all about faith. It's all about future generations. It's all about what you are leaving behind for somebody else to carry on, to live through, and to pass on and better themselves. So now I want to read Hebrews 12, starting from verse 1. Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. There's so much to unpack in this, but the main point that I want to drive today is we need to make decisions based out of the vision that we see and that God has revealed to every single one of us for our lives. And I love the scripture so much because it talks about Jesus, who is the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. The joy that was set before him endured the cross. The joy that was before him gave him the strength to endure the cross. The joy that was set before him was what allowed him to go through every single temptation, every single pain, every single betrayal, every single everyday thing that he went through. He was able to endure it because there was a joy set before him. And I want all of us to look at our vision, to look at what God has promised us with the joy that is set before us. There is joy in the promised land. There is joy in the vision that God has given us. So why get distracted by the weights, like it says here, by the weights and the sin that easily can entangle us? Why get distracted by those things when there's a joy set before us? The joy set before us is the hope that we are going to see the promise, that we are going to see the vision that God has given us. Be encouraged today with that joy. Pray that God gives you the joy set before you so that you can endure through everything. The word tells us that joy is our strength. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And I am a witness of this because I've been in very dark seasons in my life. I have been in very dark seasons in my life where I've had to endure dark places. But the joy of the Lord, the joy of my salvation was what got me through it. Because I knew that if I had Jesus, and I knew that if he had given me something that I knew I would eventually see, then I could endure through anything. Are you willing to endure through it? Are you willing to endure through anything? Ask yourself that question today. Funny enough, in Hebrews 12, the next verse talks about the discipline of God. And it talks about how if you endure chastening, God deals with you as his sons. For what son is there whom the Father does not chasten? But if you are without chastening, of which all have become partakers, then you will be illegitimate and not sons. When you endure through trials, through testing, that means that you are indeed a son of God, a daughter of God. If not, you are illegitimate. This is to tell us that even Jesus had to endure through things, but the joy set before him was what got him through it all. Are you willing to hold on to the joy set before you? The joy of the promise, the joy of God's presence, the joy of what is to come. When we talk about legacy, we have to talk about our daily decisions and not settling for the least. We're young, or most of us are at least. We're young and we think we have a lot of time in our hands. So we settle for what's mediocre or what's the status quo. But me personally, I don't settle for anything less. I have in the past, and I've been so uncomfortable that I'm like, no, like I know there's something greater. Like I know there's something greater. I know it. I've always had this spirit of, I would dare say faith, but also of greater, which is why I even decided to focus on the greater works in season 1, because I know that that's not just for me. I know that that's a promise from God that he wants us to do greater works, spiritually and physically. He doesn't just want us to do miracle signs and wonders, yet be struggling financially, yet not be prospering, yet not be in leadership positions in the industries that we are called to. There's no way. We are to dominate in every single area because we are his sons and daughters. Are you going to settle this year? Are you going to settle in 2024? Are you going to settle for the bare minimum of what God can do through you? Or are you going to accept the promise of greater works within you? Are you going to accept the fact that you are made for greater works? Are you going to accept the promise that what's ahead is greater than your now? Will you accept that? Will you believe that? Will you embody that? Will you walk it out even when it's not there yet? The choice is yours. And as for me in my house, we're choosing to believe it. We're choosing to embody it. And I'm choosing to be a living example of what it means to walk in the greater works that Jesus promised us. Will you join me? I'll see you guys in season 2 of the Mount Fatima podcast with your host, Fatima. I cannot wait for the new guests, the new sets, and the new conversations that we're going to have in order to fulfill our God-given purpose. I love every single one of you. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel at Mount Fatima Podcast. Make sure that you follow the page on Instagram and TikTok. And make sure that you also subscribe on Apple Podcasts, which is going to be updated very soon, and also on Spotify. Rate it, show some love, share it with somebody, and make sure that you do not settle for anything less other than God's best this year. Think beyond yourself. I love you, I love you, I love you, and I'll see you in season 2. It's wild. I was so scared. I'll leave this. I'll record this if time permits, obviously. But I remember just being so scared of speaking. One day I'll share like how timid I was of just speaking in public or in general. And I remember that one moment where I was like, I'm not made for speaking. I'm not made to use my voice. Yet God had completely different plans. So whoever's out there struggling with their voice, thinking that nobody will care, thinking that God can't use your voice, that's a lie from the pit of hell. That's Satan trying to prevent you from entering into your God-given purpose. Because he lied to me. I know it. He lied to me for so many years. He made me believe that I wasn't made with a purpose. He made me believe that I was not meant to speak powerful words. But that's not for you. Just like it's not for me. Just like that's a lie for me, that's a lie for you as well. And I want to speak truth to you. You do have a voice. Use it, cultivate it. More than anything, find your identity in God so that when God calls you to the forefront, to a mic, or not even a mic, to a platform with people in front of you, even if it's just 2 people, shoot, 1, you'll be able to use it with authority. And you will not shy away from whatever Satan has. Oof, Jesus. Praise you, Lord.